Amy, Christy.
We'll give folks a minute to join. As folks are joining, yesterday we sent out a message around Head Start. I think Titus is running late from another meeting, and I think we've already had 300 people take action. So I'll add that link in chat while folks are joining in. It's a kind of a one click, and this is the USA Today reported on Friday that in the president's proposed budget, there is an elimination of Head Start. So nothing is there, there's no, it's part of the process. The president's budget, I think in the article they called it kind of a wish list of what the president wants to see. We know that this was part of Project 2025. And so the Mass Head Start Association and the National Head Start Association both are activating. There's kind of one link, one message, which is great that they are aligned and coordinated on that. Thank you, Aditi, doing it all this morning. Uh, and as I said, we kind of sent out the message, which was the same message, but we can track who took action. So 300 people have already contacted our congressional delegation. And I think it's just worth remembering that while our delegation often supports all things early childhood, it's always we still have to take action so that they will have you know emails and communication from their constituents. But we know that especially Whip Clark's office has been in touch with folks just to understand first the impact of the closing of the Boston office, as well as this potential elimination of Head Start. Also, in the 9:30 call follow-up folder, I'll put this link in toward the end of the call. We are posting Danielle Ewan's weekly updates, and she's doing an incredible job of tracking everything that's happening at the federal level. So I'll add that link in chat. It's part of our follow-up folder. It says federal updates it's because we're putting them all just by date in that folder. So that is the update. If you joined us, we've had over 300 people already take action in 24 hours, which is a pretty high percent of participation rate. So thank you for that. And Aditi, I will turn things over to you.
Thank you, Amy. Good morning, everybody. My name is Aditi Subramaniam, and I'm so glad to be back in community with everybody, really holding all of this collective action that's happening. I also want to name my colleague Christy Moulin is not here with us today. She is actually with at a doctor's appointment. Everything is well, but she's not here with us this morning. And so, Amy, can I share my screen?
You should be able to, yes. And as Aditi is doing this, this is our monthly check-in with usually Aditi and Chrissy today, Aditi, but so grateful that they've continued to keep this commitment to the 9:30 call.
Thank you, Amy. And I think, it's interesting holding. So we're here. I'm saying we because we're all in this together, really talking about infant early childhood mental health. And, in times like this, I've been reflecting about how much I have to really center on co-regulation because there is so much happening around us. And so really our space is to hold each other as the workforce as we're holding babies and families. And so the last month, which was actually a few weeks ago, we spent some time really centering play. And I've been reflecting. I had a t-shirt, and I'll just share this quick example, a t-shirt on from a play therapy conference that actually said, the best way to be is to be in play. And my 9-year-old looked at me and she's like, that's a lie. You don't play anymore with me. And I
Got
was like,
proud.
oh my goodness. Like really pay attention to like what is this child saying from the child's eye of what does actually being in relationship and play look like. And so wanted to really bring back for us that as we're holding regulation informed play and relationships, that it is as much as about the children we serve as much as it's for us. And really a way to go get through these times, I strongly believe, is for us to be reimagining, and reimagining in creative is by centering how we are feeling in the moment. And so just to open up, infant early childhood mental health or early relational health really is this developing capacity that is how do we support children in our care to experience and regulate emotions, form close and secure relationships with their friends and with grown-ups around them in service of exploring their environment, all within the context of their family, community, and culture. And so each of you every day, each of us every day, are really like are doing infant early childhood mental health and early relational health. So to start with, in true, really centering who we are and how we are is as important as what we do. Wanted to really invite folks, if you feel comfortable, you don't have to close your eyes, but really centering some like box breathing. We do this with the kids all the time. And so as wherever you're seated, gonna just start to invite maybe leaning back. If you feel comfortable, I'm gonna invite you to close your eyes. If not, just gaze away from the screen and don't look at me. And so as you feel comfortable, we're gonna inhale for the count of 4, and I'll just name what we're gonna do and then we'll do it together. So we're gonna breathe in from our nose for the count of 4, we'll hold for the count of 4, and breathe out from our mouth for the count of 4, and then pause and then do that 2 times so that it really brings us in the current moment and actually helps our nervous system to regulate a little bit. All right, so we're going to start in with breathing in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, and pause, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to invite you to do it at your own pace. And as you breathe in, just to pay attention to words that are sustaining you at this moment. Breathe into your dignity, all of it. And as you hold, let that spread all over your body. Maybe breathing out with a sound and breathing out any yuckiness that we actually don't, things that are not sustaining us at this moment at all. Just breathing it out. I know there's a lot of that for me happening. And pause. And maybe one more time, breathe into all of your dignity, all the way from your tippy toes, all the way to the top of your head. Hold it and let it spread all through your body. Breathing out, shake out anything that is not serving you at this moment, your body, mind, and spirit. All right. So as we start, last time we started to talk about what are some things in play and movement that we can continue to do, not as therapists, not as clinicians, but just as everyday grown-ups around children. How are ways that we can integrate movement, and what does that do to really promote emotional well-being and relational well-being? And so we introduced regulation and informed interactive play, and we spent a little time looking at rooting and repetition. So today we're just going to focus on rhythm and range. Again, these are they're not a menu of activities. They're really a way to also break down. This can be done with us as educators, families, noticing how children play, but these elements are all parts of the part that really actually supports our nervous system and co-regulation. And it's something that we do specifically in relationship context with children. So the work of the child is to play. Our invitation is let's do this in relationship by using these elements. And so for today, we'll focus on rhythm. I feel like this is something that is close to us. If everybody even just puts their hand on their heart right now, our heart beats in rhythm. Like rhythm is so core to being a living being. I was going to say human, but actually it's living being. And across indigenous cultures have always said rhythm exists everywhere. I know in India, like there's a saying, the word Om is actually the rhythm of the universe. And so there's so much that is really paid attention on, like rhythmic activities. When we sing rhymes, there's like a 1, 2, 3, 4. All of those 4 circadian rhythms are all a part of how we be. And so when we think about rhythm activities, it is how do we find our own rhythm? How do we support the children we serve in really empowering and finding their own rhythm? Because guess what? We all have a different way of how we move in rhythm. engaging in rhythm play really and matching the rhythm of the children we're with serves in that attunement. Like, I see you, I notice you. So not having them join your rhythm, but how do we join their rhythm to support that part of like, oh, I see you, I'm trying to match your rhythm, right? And when there is a mismatch, that there's an opportunity to acknowledge that and then work again together on rhythm. And all of this without any words needed, right? All really through collective rhythm. What does that look like and feel like? So some activities are really thinking about like, just think about every day in your classrooms or in your family childcare, pat a cake, animal pretend play, peekaboo, follow the leader, dumping and filling. They don't have to only be with drumming or with what when we think of rhythm, like we think about drumming and like stomping, but anything that is like, oh, let's make the sound of a loud cat. And then maybe there's like a different tone of a different cat. And then there's a soft cat. And so really thinking about how every day that serve and return and call and response and rhythm is allowing for being able to match where the child is at this moment and what that actually does in centering and really co-regulating because it is actually paying attention to the nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system. All right, so I have a really sweet video because I was like, this is the best way to see how a child and a parent are really engaging in back and forth rhythm. So let me hope this works. 6, 7, 8. Paso por aquí, fuera, arriba. ¿Lo tienes? ¿Lo tienes? Una vez más. Bien. Esta parte es como si peleáramos, ¿correcto? Como un reto. Yo doy un paso adelante. Así. Tú me retas de nuevo a mi lugar y yo doy un paso a tu espacio. Vale. Atrás. Atrás. Arriba. Bien. All right, I'm going to pause. What did you notice in that minute? This is like a baby, like I think a less than 3 months, 4 months old in rhythm. What came up for you from that video? Either somebody can, he's trying so hard. Yeah, and you can see he's doing it, right? Thanks, Sarah. Like, yes. Devin, do you want to, I don't want to call you out, but do you want to jump in and share a little bit? Like, what did you notice?
Sure. Yeah. So I really appreciated how the adult waited and let the child work it out. And that they're, in that, I think when you have a genuine interaction with somebody, there's pauses and waiting and time for people to react and act. And so I thought that was really cool how he did that.
And really being able to pause and see, right? It's going to look different, but this baby was so paying attention.
Absolutely.
Sheila, you say tangible connection and joy, rapt attention on the caregiver, Julie. Yes, right. And so, as young as like a 2 and 3 month old, there's this back and forth concept that is really that part of like, oh, I see you. I see you and I'm in relationship with you. And so, rhythm can look like that. It could look like peekaboo. Yes, Sarah, the baby was laser focused. Babies are just so, they come with so many capacities. It's amazing. Um, Edna, do you want to jump in? Pause and wait.
um, I don't know if you, well, yeah, pause and wait, and because that's part of that interaction. Because sometimes we are rushed to wait for a response to make sure that what we're doing with the child is getting it, and we feel that pressure as well. I'm talking for myself. That pressure, that anxiety, that rush to, okay, is the child getting it? Is the learning? And just relax a little bit and enjoy that moment. Yes, thank you. This is wonderful as always. Okay.
Oh, Edna, it's so beautiful when you're saying, and that's why like our co-regulation, right, is so important, which you're bringing up, Edna. Like, how am I really worked up at this moment and waiting for this child to like, is the learning happening versus like, Am I calm to join them so that when, as they are in relationship, that they can feel our calm, right? How am I focusing on when my child said, Mama, you're not playing enough? I'm like, oh, I'm actually really not regulated these days. I won't lie. Like I'm doing a lot more breathing, a lot more centering because
Right.
it really requires us as grown-ups, like how do we really hold a sense of calm with everything that's happening? Yes, and Anna, respectful interaction between the two. There's respect for what this baby is bringing to the interaction. Absolutely. All right, I'm going to share our screen and hold the next part that we're focusing on, which is as we're holding rhythm. Again, like we mentioned, none of these are separate, right? We're going to invite range, which is how do we play with a full range of emotions? And the core understanding behind this is just as much as we say, supporting social emotional um, literacy and like, let's talk about all our feelings. Let's have like, what is this feeling happening? Are you feeling mad or sad? And doing like, if you're happy and you know it, just as much as we do that verbally, through the body, really having a full range of emotions that is engaging with a whole range of emotions through our body and experiencing big emotions and small emotions and big energy and small energy actually really invites a way for our lower part of our brain to be more connected with the prefrontal cortex. And so actually a range also supports an emotional range. And so this one is really paying attention to understanding that like thermometer, I think about it like a thermostat, like where am I? Where's the child? Are they like on high arousal, low arousal? How do they navigate their thermostat? What increases or decreases their energy level? And what might he, she, or they avoid? What do I feel like I might avoid as a grown-up around them, right? And how to hold some of that. And so when we think of range, I always think about like opposites. The freeze dance, red light, green light, fast and slow, high and low. Let's make a happy elephant. Let's make a really sad dog. Let's do big, big awake movements and let's go really small and be asleep. So really playing with the extremes to really understand where the regulation capacity for the child is, what upregulates them, and what brings them down, and how do we, because as we're supporting this range of tolerance, we're able to really then support a way to really look at like how does co-regulation happen in relationship, right, towards self-regulation. And so when bubble play is the other one, right, really requires us to like, let's do big bubbles, which requires breath, and really small little bubbles and pop it. And so when we think about range, what we're now going to do is I'm going to actually turn it to you all and let's wonder about if we were to think about rhythm and range, are there two ways that you might already be integrating this, or you might integrate activities into your program this week? And somebody wants to jump off mute. Go ahead, Andrea, and then Edna.
Yeah, I think from the perspective of higher education at community colleges, with student educators, we can have them practice these very same activities and feel, the effect on their own bodies and the impact that can then have with the children that they're eventually going to be working with in the field.
Yes, so important. When I was Andrea, I remember, and I'll bring up the next slide, when I was was training to be a dance therapist, the kids were like right there on the rainbow, like immediately. It was us as grown-ups who had to really pay attention to like, why is it so hard to play? Right? And so how do we actually like engage with it every day for ourselves to practice what feels even for us, because play brings up it's all embodied, and there's a good reason why being embodied as grown-ups sometimes is harder, because we all have histories also. So it is really helpful to think about how do we engage it with to practice. Edna, jump in. I know you're unmuted.
That made me think about the rhythm, about how some silly things you can turn into a rhythm. Yeah, I have we're outside and we're playing. But like this morning, just a simple thing of going, the sound of a dog, woo, 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 woo. And then they started laughing and laughing and laughing. But there you have I'm not an expert, but but if you do that woo, woo, woo repeatedly, I think, I don't know for what you're saying, I could see that using the rhythm with the children. And if some repeat that, and when you're, and when, I'll get off mute.
No, get it. You don't have to get off mute. It's so nice to hear you. I also, Edna, absolutely. I'm also just noticing as you were doing the woof woof woof, like the kids around you and their expression
Yeah.
right now, right? What that brings up. Um, again, each of these are not separate from each other, right? So we're thinking about rhythm and range. When there's a bark, we could be doing like a loud bark, a small bark. It could be a back and forth and repetition. We could use the same activity and practice all the 5 parts of the circle. And I do, wanted to name as plays for us too, maybe with the grown-ups and educators as we are exploring what that play feels like, to maybe invite a little bit of reflection, right? Who do we feel like who do we feel most playful around? Where are we our most playful? What activities feel like play to each of us? Is there an aspect of play from our culture that actually is a gift to how we show up with the children, right? Play can look so different because of where we come from, and it doesn't have to look the same. And so really having a way that we could reflect on this, and then I think, Andrea, like you said, ways that we can really integrate that into practice and try it out. Like, let's try. If we were all together in the room, Amy, I'm like, oh, when we're all together next time, we should all just do some of these activities together with
Yes.
the everything.
That's right.
Anybody else on either responding to how you might use this in your everyday spaces or reflecting on any one of these questions? Like, who do you feel most playful around? Where are you at your most playful? Kira, jump in.
I just want to say that last week at a staff meeting, we talked about all 5 of these with our teachers, and we had a conversation around what we do to mutually regulate with all 5 of these. And I know what the teachers do because my office is in the middle and I can hear in all of the spaces. Um, and there's one song that all of our classrooms do that incorporates all of these. And we got in the end to that song and we all sang it together. And it was this most beautiful moment of everybody singing the same song that incorporates all of these. And it just made me really happy.
Oh my goodness, Kira. I'm like, oh, can you sing it for us right now? But I won't put you on the spot.
It's the fire truck song.
The fire truck song. Yes. Well, and how what beautiful leadership to also be like, you are witnessing the intentionality that your educators and teachers are bringing every day into all these rhythms. Because guess what? It's exactly what you said. We need the mutual regulation also, as we are mutually regulating and serving as co-regulation relationships for the children we serve. And so yes, please play with these 5. What I think we'll do is we'll send again these slide decks, and next month, we will maybe practice like a combination of all 5 and think about what it means for us as we as grown-ups are serving the children. Thank you for sharing that example. And then I'm noticing in the chat, Linda, I'm the most playful when I'm creating art or when I'm outside or both. And I've noticed that many children are the same. Yeah, how powerful. And then smell the flowers and blow the candle. I saw it.
Aditi, I said like 2 weeks ago, I saw the most joy that I'd seen in a long time. First at the research summit. People were so happy to be together and kind of have a common vision. And then opening day at Fenway,
Mm.
everybody was just so happy. And I think, we talk about joy and play and just and the breathing, I think kind of all, even 30 minutes, kind of everything that you covered, that dad and baby is going to stay with me because I think somebody said like we're rushing around and trying to attend to so many things, but to take 30 seconds and breathe and kind of watch that interaction is just reminds us of what we should be doing.
Well, then thank you, Amy. And I think the children we are with, I think are inspiration for how do we hold play in each
Right.
other. When I come here, it's a reminder for me too to be like, oh, wait, you are not breathing. Oh, wait, you're actually not centering play and reimagining. Because I wanted to end with this, right? Now more than ever, and this is a quote by Winnicott, which is, it is in playing and only in playing that the individual child or adult is able to be creative and to use the whole personality. And it's only in being creative that we discover ourselves, right? And so if we were to think about self in service of community, I've been really holding like literally now in this moment more than ever, right? What does centering creativity and joy look like when everything is feeling like joy is being sucked? That itself is resistance. And so play, if we were to expand that, play is actually resistance. And guess what? We get to do that every day with the children we serve. And so I'm so grateful that you all are also like, Kira, I'm going to hold the song now in my mind the whole time of what you're bringing to us with the teachers that you serve. Thank you all so much. And we wanted to just share from our team, and I know we're going to work closely with strategies, is please save the date. Mental Health Awareness Month is May. And we always do a spotlight on infant, early childhood mental health and early relational health. More details to come. It'll be on Zoom from 10 to 11:30. And I understand a lot of you are going to be in the classrooms, but we will try a way to maybe work with strategies and like fit something into a 9:30 call also.
Absolutely.
But we'll do a little brunch and learn to celebrate babies, families, and each of us as the workforce serving them. So let's all center joy and play as an act of resistance. So thank you.
All right, Aditi, thank you so much. Speaking of joy, tomorrow we're going to have 4 members of our advocacy network, cohort 4, join us for a meet and greet. And then on Thursday, we will have Commissioner Kershaw for her monthly appearance, and we will have Excel Linguistics with us for live Spanish and Portuguese translation. So we hope to please spread the word on that. And if you have questions or topics that you hope to hear the commissioner talk about, please send them to me. So we will see you then. Okay, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much, Aditi. We'll send you the chat, which is full of love and appreciation.
Let us spirit. Thank you.
Thank you so much.